If your child's stuck in a cycle of sadness, anxiety, and low motivation, there's a deeper reason behind these depressive symptoms. The hidden link that no one talks about is this missing skill that transforms how they cope and thrive. I'm Lisa, a child behavior expert and a parent coach. I have over a decade of experience as a pediatric occupational therapist. My goal is to empower parents like yourself with science-backed strategies that will help you feel confident in supporting your child's development. With the right knowledge and tools, this will help you to raise a resilient and confident child who thrives at school, at home, and in life. Depression in children shows up in various ways. They might experience persistent sadness and withdraw from activities that they once loved doing. They might feel more fatigued and more tired to do things. They would rather just lay on the couch on their iPad. They act very sluggish. They have feelings of hopelessness. Whenever you ask them if they're looking forward to anything, they never seem to have any type of excitedness or happiness. They're always in this low mood, almost like a cloud is just over their head. They have difficulties concentrating when you're speaking to them. It feels like they're not really there. They're not really paying attention to what you're saying. You can even see when it comes to schoolwork, it's really hard for them to stay focused. It's like they're daydreaming and just kind of zoning off. They also express physical complaints like their stomach's hurting, they're getting headaches a lot. These physical symptoms are a sign of something deeper. These depressive symptoms are linked to challenges with emotional regulation skills. This makes it hard for your child to manage the big, intense emotions that they're feeling. Whenever they're feeling frustrated or disappointed, their minds automatically go into a more depressive state. And without the tools to cope with all of these emotions, what we see is a lot of these kids go into withdrawal. They struggle with negative self-talk that often spirals and pulls down their self-esteem and self-worth. And this undermines their resilience. They start to struggle with handling different stressors from school, stressors within the family, stressors within social interactions, making it really hard for them to develop strong bonds with their peers. They have a low sense of self-worth because they don't know how to handle these emotions, and they spiral into these negative self-talks that they start to feel like they don't have confidence within themselves, that they can't handle when life puts anything in front of them. They crumble and they try to hide away and try to avoid different tasks in everyday life. I know as a parent, if you are witnessing your child experience depressive symptoms, how heartbreaking it is. Of course, you want the best for them. Of course, you want them to feel good about themselves. And it leaves a lot of parents feeling quite helpless and hopeless because you want to help them, but you just don't know what exactly you need to do to actually lift up their spirits. But I know not only are you worried right now in this moment watching your child go through these depressive episodes, but you're also really worried about their future, and rightly so, because unfortunately, when kids are not given those tools, they don't have the emotional regulation skills nor the coping tools, and they grow up into their pre-adolescent, adolescent, adulthood years. They really do struggle because they don't know how to handle with the greater demands that are put on them. There's going to be more school stressors. There's going to be more relational stressors. There's going to be the stress of just being an independent person out in the real world and having to handle adult things. Those things can really take a toll on your child's mental health later down the road. So it's absolutely vital that if you are noticing these depressive symptoms and you're noticing your child does not have emotional regulation skills, that you are taking action today to figure out what exactly is going on and how to build their emotional regulation. Now, what you have to understand about emotional regulation is it's a skill. It's a skill your child develops over time. It's not a skill that your child just is born with. It's something that they learn over time. And every child is unique, and there are different pillars to what builds emotional regulation. When there's a break in any of these pillars, this is where emotional regulation crumbles. In my brand new course, all about the foundations to emotional regulation, I break down 5 fundamental pillars that hold emotional regulation. And when you can understand which part is the piece that your child is struggling with, you'll understand what exactly you need to do to start building up that piece of the puzzle. And so in this course, you're going to get practical strategies on things that you can implement right now that's going to start boosting your child's emotional regulation skills. If you're ready to start learning more about it, you can find all the information about the course in the description box below. So here are some simple steps that you can start doing today that's going to help create the right foundation for your child's emotional health and development. Number one is to create a growth mindset home environment. Really focusing on the efforts that your children put in, not focusing on the outcome. Because when we focus on the outcome, what we instill is a very perfectionist type of mentality that the goal is only to achieve, and if we make mistakes, that there's something fundamentally wrong with us. But when we have a growth mindset, we really praise the progress, the process, and the efforts that are put into working hard and trying to get to that end goal. It's important to also set realistic expectations for your child, because our kids who get into these negative self-talk patterns, they start to create very unrealistic expectations of themselves, and that only sets them up for failure. When we set realistic expectations, like talking about, it's not about being perfect. It's not about never making a mistake. We are all going to make mistakes in life, and that is absolutely okay. It's more about how we learn and grow from those mistakes. When you instill that type of value system and that type of growth mindset for your child, that sets a realistic expectation for them so that they don't keep disappointing themselves and pulling them into darker and darker places. Number two is to build a safe space for open communication. Now, this all starts in the home. How we set the tone for our kids. If we come off as judgmental whenever they come to us with any problem, they're immediately going to shut down. If they feel like anytime they make a mistake and they get reprimanded for it, they're always going to fear making that mistake. We need to make sure that we are offering them a place to share, to open up. Because when we let them open up, this helps them to process whatever troubles that they have internally. And with our kids who have a lot of depressive symptoms, they tend to ruminate on things. They get very stuck in their own minds, that they do need to express it outwardly to help them process. They need someone who they can trust, that they can tell these things to, so that they're not alone in their journey and spiral further and further. So if this is something that is not the norm right now in your home, it's never too late to start changing and start setting up a more safe, communicative environment for your child and for your family as a whole. This is where you guys need to come together, sit down together, and kind of reset the expectations. Saying things like, in the past, whenever we do have problems, I know that I've been reactive. I know I've kind of responded in ways that probably made you feel bad, but I want to make a different change in the way we communicate with one another. So if there's ever a time where you have something heavy inside of you and you feel the need to share it, I want you to know that this is a safe space for all of you guys. You can say something like, I've had something really heavy sitting in my mind, and I'd really appreciate it if I can share that with you. This can help to open that door for clear and empathetic understanding within the family. And that is going to help your child learn how to be okay to express emotions and also process them. Number three is to encourage an active lifestyle and nutritious eating. So remember, a healthy body supports a healthy mind. What you feed your body is what feeds the mind. So you want to feed it nutritious foods that is going to fuel your mind. You also want to encourage more outdoor playing, more physical activities. Right now, we're at a crossroads in society where kids today are growing up more stagnant than they ever were. And that's because of the way society is being crafted right now with the digital world. So many kids are turning to their iPads when they come home. They would rather sit on the couch and play their video games than to go outside and play sports or to hang out with friends. So it's so important that as a family, you are establishing the right type of habits in your home, ensuring that you are encouraging them to go outside. If you can, encourage them to join different sport clubs or different, bike clubs where they can just get their bodies moving physically. That is going to help to boost the endorphins to their brains, which is actually going to help to reduce the depressive symptoms or anxiety symptoms that your child may have. Number 4 is to focus in on their strengths. So for a lot of our kids who are experiencing depressive symptoms, they are often struggling a lot in many different areas of life. They're struggling at school, they're struggling socially with peer interactions. They also might be struggling with challenging behaviors at home. And so when they're struggling with these types of things, they often get a lot of negative messages to them, telling them that they shouldn't do this, that why aren't you like so-and-so? And when we focus on those negatives, it pulls them further into the negative self-talk that they already have. Instead, what we need to do is help them to focus on the strength. And in order to help them, we have to start focusing on their strengths. So if your child is very unmotivated, they don't want to do anything but sit on the couch and play on the iPad, what we need to do is not tell them, stop playing on the iPad, you're just being lazy. We want to focus on their strength instead. What's the thing that they are good at? What's the thing that they do have interest? Maybe it's something related to bikes. Maybe they really like riding a bike. Encourage that. Encourage and remind them like how great they are at riding a bike. Wouldn't it be great if you could help out our neighbor who's just learning how to ride a bike? That would be really meaningful for that kid. When we utilize their strengths, we get them involved in things that have purpose. It helps to boost their self-esteem and self-worth. And another really great example that this was something that I had recommended to one of my clients whose child was feeling very unmotivated, had, very low sense of self, but his strength was directions. He was just really good at figuring out directions. But whenever he was in the car with his parents, he would just kind of course, be in the back seat, just kind of whatever, looking out the window, not engaged at all. But what I told his parents was, start encouraging him to take lead in this. His strength is knowing directions. Like, he knows where everything is. So why don't we give him the responsibility to make the most effective map route to get through all the different errands that the family has to do. So giving him that task allowed him to focus on something that he was good at. And when he was in the car, he was telling his parents where they should go. What's the best way to get to this store and then get to the next store, because he's already rerouted everything. That helped to boost his self-esteem. And what his parents saw was an increase in his mood, an increase in his interactions with his family, because he was very withdrawn. He didn't want to have any kind of conversations with them. Whenever they asked him things, he would just give a one-word answer. But once he started leaning into his strength, what they saw was motivation. What they saw was a spark in his life. And that's what propelled him forward. And from this day forward, he is thriving. He's making so many more friends because he just sees life in such a positive way that allows him to make such great social interactions and make new friends. And finally, practice daily mindfulness and meditation. I know you've probably heard of this a lot. And the truth is, it is such a powerful tool. But the thing is, the hardest thing about this is, how do you actually implement this in your child's life? And the truth is, it all comes down to habits. It's like anything. We have to make things integrated into our daily routine in order for us to do it. And we need to have visual tools to help prompt us to do it. So using apps like Headspace, that is a really great way to engage your child into something. It's something tangible that they can use to help them meditate and be mindful. But integrating this into your child's day is so key, because when your child doesn't have that structure in their day, they're not going to turn to meditation and mindfulness practices. But if every single night, as a family, you come together in your family room, you dim all the lights, they can choose if they want to lay down on the pillow, sit on the couch, sit crisscross-legged, but they get to choose. And together as a family, this becomes part of your family daily habits. And it's a great way to wind down as a family right before bedtime. That's a really great moment. Some people really enjoy doing it right in the morning, but it really depends on your lifestyle, because for some, the morning is way too rushed. You're trying to get to work, you're trying to get your kids ready to school. It may not be feasible to do it in the morning. So my second recommendation is to do it at nighttime. And the research is absolutely clear around meditation and mindfulness. It helps to reduce cortisol levels. And for our kids who have depressive symptoms and lots of anxiety, their cortisol levels are up. Little things that are happening in their day-to-day is triggering a nervous system response. If your child's experiencing a lot of overwhelm at school, maybe they're struggling with the work demand and it's causing a lot of anxiety, or social interactions are anxiety provoking for them, that is spiking up their cortisol level. And we need to help them learn how to manage that. And that is through mindfulness and meditative practices. Now, these 5 shifts that I just mentioned, these new daily habits, they're extremely important for you to start implementing today. If your child is experiencing depressive symptoms and are struggling with emotional regulation, you're laying the foundation for them to help them learn the skill. But this is just the basics. What you really need is to understand the foundation of emotional regulation, especially if you have a child who is neurotypical, who has sensory challenges, who experiences big aggressive behaviors. They lose control of their emotions. Yes, these foundations, these new habits will make a significant difference, but it's not going to target exactly what emotional regulation skills that they need to start developing. That is what I get into in my brand new course, Foundations to Emotional Regulation, where I unpack those 5 pillars. And it will help you to identify exactly what is the cause of your child's emotional dysregulation when they lose control of their emotions and what to actually do about it. And as parents, your role is absolutely pivotal. I have an entire module on exactly what you need to start shifting in your mindset, your attitudes, your belief systems that is going to transform your child's emotional regulation skills. And most importantly, you are going to see a shift in their behavior and a reduction in their meltdowns. So if you're ready to make these transformative shifts in your life and your child's life, you can check out the description box for more information about my course. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video informative. Please again, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.